Hello everybody, welcome along to another edition of the Rebel Wide Ball. And as has been the case now for the past couple of weeks, the Cork Championships are really dominating the sporting landscape from our perspective, that is. And as I said before, it's an incredible system they've drawn up with. I know there's an issue around youth clubs and they are suffering to a degree. Now, maybe the debate should start some other time about that, but we've now down to the quarter-finals of the five hurling championship this weekend. We've also 5 games in something I termed a number of years ago the Slán Leat tournaments. They're officially Premier Relegation. So between the quarter-finals and the relegation finals, there are 16 games, and these have to be decided on the day. So I think on the law of averages that you'll probably have one or two that will end up level pegging at the end of normal time, and then we'll go to extra time. And is there a possibility that one of them could be decided on penalties? And of course that will cause us all then to jump on the bandwagon and say penalties are no way to finish a competition. But anyway, let's hope it doesn't come to that. But we'll be keeping a close eye on it. We'll start with the Premier Senior Hurling Championship, and the team that's through to the semi-final is once Aaron's own. Are they the lucky ones? Well, in a couple of weeks' time we'll find out. The 3 quarter-finals are all on in Páudie, and on Friday night you have the meeting of Newtown Chandler and Rovers. And I suppose, look, for some of our, I don't know, what kind of listeners, where do we have listeners? I wonder, have we any in Mountjoy or somewhere like that? Maybe Mr. Burke is listening. I think Newtown have a good chance against the Rovers. They're a formidable side and they're seriously committed to their club up there. And fellas like Tim North, Tim O'Mahony, Cahill Norton, my apologies, Jamie Collin, Conor Toomey, Jerry Lane and those. They're really going to make a game of it. Now, there's rumours circulating that Patrick Horgan may be out, and without doubt he'd be a huge loss to Gun Rovers. But I do notice that a few times that free takers were out in hurling and somebody was handed the responsibility. They will probably strike over 90% of the frees that, we'll say in this case, that Patrick Horgan would strike. But his general play, of course, I'm not going to say he's not going to be a loss if he's out. The Downey brothers will be superb for them, they usually are. And Simon Kennefick and young Owen O'Leary is another. And obviously, look, probably some player that maybe has been quite up to now. That could be the player that could swing these games. Then on Sunday, there's the double bill in Páudie and as well. And the first game is the Southside Derby, call it what you wish. And is this another chance for Douglas to get eventually to win a county championship? They haven't done so. And when they lose, then, I suppose, look at the prize in hurling, doesn't that? They'd be so disappointed. But they're facing a bar side that are kind of reinvented with a mix of youth that have come through underage teams, and they'll really put it up to Douglas, I think. And the Douglas team, you have the Kingston brothers are in there, Cadogan brothers, Mark Harrington, Niall Hartnett, and so many more. And the other side of the coin for St. Finbarrs, we have the Three Castlehaven Callahan footballers lining out for them, and of course there's other footballers that play dual with St. Finbarrs as well. But you have a younger brigade now coming through, and maybe that maybe this year is a little bit too soon for them. It takes today, obviously, the physicality of players. You got to wait a couple of years before they can bulk up, and but fellas like Ben Cunningham and Ben O'Connor, Brian Hayes and Ethan Toomey are fabulous hurlers. This is as good as it gets in terms of looking forward to something. And the later game then at 4 o'clock is Blackrock, who have yet to set the world on fire, let's be honest about it, and rediscover the form that won their great championship 2 years ago. But of course all those hurlers are there, like Mark O'Keefe, Alan Conley, Stephen Murphy, Michael O'Halloran, Ty Deasy. On the other side then, I suppose, and I was going to say Howie McKilly gel, but they probably will gel fine. They know each other well, and some of these have been on the fringes of the Grady McKilly teams a couple of years ago. You've Shamie Harnedy, Brian Lawton, Kieran Joyce, the mighty John Cronin, Liam O'Shea. So they're the 3 quarter-finals in that. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to witness good games of hurling, absolutely no doubt. In the senior hurling then we have the two teams that are through to the semi-finals, and that are Father O'Neill's and I suppose the surprise pack maybe are for my, if you like. But anyway, the quarter-finals is what we are interested in, and the two games are on Saturday, 1 at 5 and 1 at 7, again in Páirc Keeve. Your Bride Rovers taking on Slán, and a couple of weeks ago Slán wouldn't be in this discussion, but they are now. But I suppose is the cat out of the bag, if you wish, for Slán, in that, you know, that if they do what they did against Newstown, play Paudie O'Sullivan back as a sweeper centre back, I doubt if the Bride Rovers crowd are going to be maybe as, was I going to say innocent and Newstown in the one sentence. But anyway, I think Newstown maybe didn't handle that scenario that well, Bride Rovers will. And also you had Brian O'Shea getting, 14, 15, 16 points, take any figure you want, and a lot of them for play. The Roach brothers will, I'm sure one of them will be detailed back around there, so I think Bride Rovers probably get over the line there. The other game between Ballyhay and Cork Rovers, and well done to both sides for getting to this stage of the championship. Cork Rovers last year's Premier Intermediate Hurling champions, and I just have a feeling that if they can get Sean Toomey, I know he's probably double marked in a lot of matches, and that, you know, prevents opportunities for other courses players to get through. But like we've been able to rabbit in for a goal or two, it would make a huge difference to them. But Ballyhay, you know, are they boxing above their weight? God, we've enough people offended. Anyway, Paul Callahan, the Hanley brothers, Tom and Tiernan, and Eugene O'Leary would be players that would be stepping up to the plate for them. And then in the Premier Intermediate Hurling, we have Inniscarra and Castleines through to the semi-finals, and the two quarter-finals on Saturday at 3:30. One game is on in Cove between Castlemartyr and Carrigaline, and Castlemartyr, what's an incredible journey they're on, winners of two consecutive championships, the lower intermediate and the intermediate A, and you know, players like Mike Kelly, the Lawton brothers, and Kieran Joyce and Joe Stack have been part of that successful journey. Carrigaline have been there or thereabouts, and when I mention Carrigaline, I'm reminded of last summer of what they did, and there was such, I suppose, an outpouring of social media grief because of something I suggested they were going to be relegated. They put a lot of, I was talking to you last week about the Paudie P accumulator. By God, Carrigaline shattered a lot of people's ambitions in making a few bob last weekend when they got that fabulous goal. Nathan O'Keefe was going to be there with the hurlers as well, and they have quite a number of them that played the both codes. And Aina Desmond, Rhys McCarthy and Brian Kelleher. They have a guy, I think he's Sean O'Shea from Mayo, that's in charge of them. And look, they're an experienced team. And I've said before about them, but maybe that applies to every team that has yet to win the particular championship they're in now, that they've put in some serious performances. This is going to be a test for both of them. I have a slight fancy for Carrigaline in this. So they're the two games in the Premier Intermediate Hurling. Then we go to the Intermediate A Hurling Championship, and here the semi-finals are Clodove and Sars, with the quarter-finals, which are both on Friday night, by the way. Dungooney taking on Middleton in Carricknavar, and Liscool taking on Kildare. Look, these are so close. I don't know how to even call them. Maybe a slight fancy for Dungooney over Middleton, and Liscool, who are endeavouring to win their third championship in so many years. They won the Junior A and the lower intermediate, and you know, once, and was it 2 years, I suppose just about 2 years ago, they couldn't win the East Cork Championship, and here they are now, and they are for climbing, and maybe climbing further. In the Premier Junior, which is a great championship for the 12 teams here, Kilbritton and Ballygiblin are without doubt, I think, the two best sides in it. They're in the semi-final, but the two quarter-finals are on a Friday night. I think they're both on Friday night, 7:30. With Milford playing Tracton. I don't know what to say here about which of those. I went for Tracton the last day. They lost. Should I stick with them? Maybe I should. And then we have Arrogideen Rangers, and Arrogideen Rangers have been in the news over the past couple of days because they're also involved in the West Cork Junior Football Championship, and I don't have to tell you what Divisional Junior Football Championships, it's a prized title now, because you're moving up into a county championship, into the Premier Junior Football next year. And Arrogane Rangers complain they're not getting a fair crack at the whip. They're scheduled now to play Tuesday night, and many people thought that football match would be moved because of the fact that the county board gave the divisions a 3-week extension. Well, they had plenty of room to do that because of the fact that the Cork Junior Football champions are through to the semi-final in late November of the Munster Championship. But there's other issues at play here, and like what I have on me, it doesn't include a bulletproof vest, so I'm not going to get involved in this. But maybe the Camogie footballers are like, why couldn't the game be played on Wednesday? But anyway, Arrogane are hurling this weekend, and I think they have a good chance against a good. I'm not going to say that it's not going to be without challenges against Russell Rovers. I just have a slight fancy for them, but I'm not asking you to put your shirt in it or anything like that. And then we come to the relegation finals, and honest to God, the system they have in Cork, I think there's drama with a capital D. And what incredible football match we had last week that came down to points in the last minute. I'm told a story about a team that, I don't know how they won any match, I'm trying to be discreet about this, but they knew that if they didn't lose by more than 5 points, they were kind of safe. In other words, there was 2 other teams that would carry the relegation, and reliably informed, maybe not, that they had a cut, maybe calling the game off a little early. They said to the ref, look, we've enough of this. Imagine if that happened and the ref did blow her up, but thankfully he didn't. So I'm told. But anyway, the relegation games, there's 5 of them on. These are crucial. This is as good as we need championship. Island Rovers won a round 3 game last week in football, and the celebrations were akin to maybe when the Roars came back. This is serious stuff. And the games are all on Saturday at 2 o'clock. And I remember last year, if I'm not greatly mistaken, it was Lashing Way on one day, and was it Charleville and Carricktool, and did go to extra time. I don't think it went to penalties, and got a lot of grief. But you look, this is it. These are the rules, and you follow it. So we have Charleville and the Piercing. A game going on in Mourne-Abbey. I think Charleville are the side I would fancy here. Then Killa and Ballymartle and Church Road. I'd have to go with Killa. Ballymartle have been poor this season. But I'll say something in a minute now, we go through them. Airog in 2 relegation. Slán lads. They take you on your here, they should win. Then we have in the intermediate A, Mealan versus Douglas. Now, I'm not too sure what's going to happen in this, because Douglas have been decimated in certain degrees because of injuries and players gone away, but 1 or 2 fellas could come back and swing this thing. I'm just going to stick with Mealan in this one. The last one, the Bars and Dripsy. I think Dripsy's day has come to leave this particular house. Will they? Wait and see. As I said, this was the start in these 16 matches. There could be extra time, there could be penalties, but one thing sure, there will be surprises, and it could be here in this competition. Before we leave Gaelic games, there's at least 2 divisional football finals on. In Duhallow, in Boherbue at 3 o'clock on Sunday, we have Cullen taking on Kanturk. You have to fancy Cullen here. This is Kanturk's second game. There'll be an incredible atmosphere. There might be an incredible atmosphere in Boherbue as well. There will be an incredible atmosphere in Coachford on Sunday for the Mid-Cork Junior Football final between Kilmurray and Ahina. Now, for those of you who are students of Mid-Cork Junior Football, and people can be students of anything, but this is a rare competition. Kilmurray would be the fancied side. They have a lot of history behind them. They're the favourites to win it. Ahina won their first championship last year. And I remember at the time, I'd say kind of COVID called in this direction, and I couldn't get through this thing without coughing. And as soon as the broadcast went up, somebody said to me, were you and Hina, Roisin, just played on a Wednesday night. It was an incredible atmosphere. I think it was inside Macroom. No, the big surprise was in Escara losing to Hina last week, and Escara made a great effort for them promoting football. It's going to be a big game, and a huge game for the winners, obviously, because they're out of the division for a period of time anyway. And then we have in Carbery a semi-final between the Saints, and if you spot a Saint in Ballinacaddaga Sunday, give me a buzz. St Mary's taking on St James. This will be one good semi-final. I can assure you that. So that's the kind of Gaelic games. Now in ladies football, we'll move, the junior, intermediate and senior, and the two games in the senior. Valley Rovers taking on Mourneabbey. This in Group 1. Mourneabbey going to win that, and Valley Rovers are close to relegation. Aero should beat Kinsale, and it is looking like that the last match, which I think is going to be the week after, between the top two will decide who plays what in the second group. Second group is very competitive, particularly ahead of Clonakilty and Bride Rovers have been doing well, and this weekend the matches on Sunday are ahead of an Inch Rovers, and I suppose ahead of would be the favourites there. Inch Rovers still have to get off the mark, and when I say the matches on Sunday, there's one exception: St Val's taking on Slán on Monday. Look, St Val's are out the gap if they don't get a win. Clonakilty will probably be the slight favourites. In the intermediate, which is a great championship, Glenmoyle the favourites, should have it over Rosscarbery. Araglin Desmondsby will take on Castlehaven. Castlehaven are the favourites there, and Dunamore and Aundala. I suppose the Aundala team I think would be slightly fancy, but look, I can't look beyond Glenmoyle and Castlehaven in that championship. In junior, and they have, I think it's 5 teams, and only 2 will go through. Donnies have 1 win from 2, will play Beara, who 1 played and no win yet. I think Donnies are going to win that one. Douglas have yet to get off the mark, and they're playing Neva Vaughan, who have, I think, 1 win and 1 loss, and Skibbereen have 2 wins. So look, I don't know, I think it's going to be Skibbereen and Donnies are the 2 teams that I would fancy to make the grade there. In the Camogie, and it's getting really, really competitive. It has been competitive now. I know there's been one-sided matches, and somebody wrote a match report, and I think it was Douglas got a trimming in it, and the match report said that the clubs did not vote for relegation. They wouldn't vote. Clubs will never vote for relegation. The problem with the GA sometimes, and society sometimes, is that there's too much emphasis on democracy. It doesn't work. I'm telling you, if democracy applied, real democracy applied in Cork GA, these structures that I'm talking about wouldn't exist. Vested interests would always be, need somebody to tell it. This is it. Prevent them with two or three scenarios, one worse than the other, and you'll get it through. Of course, there should be relegation in Camogie. Why shouldn't there be relegation in every great competition? Anyway, Glen Rovers and Corsey Rovers. So match this will be, I fancy Corsey Rovers. Killatake is in Scarra. 2 top teams as well, and it may be slight fancy for killing that one. Cladova and Ballygavin. Cladova 1-2, lost 1, I think. This is a vital match for them. SARS should get over Newstone, who are having a poor season. Lost their 2 matches so far, I think. Bars and Ballincollig. There's rumours here that Ballincollig may not feature here, but I'm not too sure about that. But the Bars would take that one. Catrins and Aerogue. I suppose St. Catrins would be the crowd you'd fancy. And then in the divisional section, where only one is going to get through, and that's going to be Shandoon. They'll be Carrickdown this weekend, and Emo Killy should get over having doing that one. Then we have the wonderful world of association football, and this week already we've had some crack in the Champions League. Manchester City with our brilliant friend Erling Haaland scoring again. They were successful. So too were Spurs 2-0 winners. But what a collapse for Liverpool. They were beaten in Napoli 4-1. But the big, I suppose, talking point is that because of Chelsea's being beaten by Dynamo Zagreb, Thomas Tuchel got the bullet. But like, this is the thing in top, in this top grade soccer like this, is getting the bullet is the way to succeed. They'll be paying this fella now for a couple of years. Somebody has to take him up. Some fella told me one time, the sack is the way to the top. Anyway, we're Premier League, we're the Saturday games, and normally now we'd have a break, but thankfully there's no break until this infamous World Cup comes up out in Qatar, and that horrendous carry-on that's going on out there. But anyway, that's for another day. Fulham played Chelsea, so now will there be a bit of response from Chelsea? There usually is when a manager gets sacked. Liverpool, they drew with Everton, and then the Napoli, they're taking on Wolves on Saturday, and Man City and Spurs, the win during the week against Marseille, and they have 3 wins and 2 draws in their last 2 Premier League games. That should be, I suppose Man City would be fancy, but this is one of the games now where the new Spurs will be measured on. And then on Sunday we have Arsenal taking on Everton, and of course Arsenal were flying until they met Man United, and I can't believe the turnaround for all the Man United supporters. And Manchester United, their big game is against Crystal Palace. So on total Ten Hag, we'll be hoping that they'll get another victory there for the League of Ireland. And I'm not too sure Dundalk were awarded the points of a match, because who did they play? Not Dundalk, Galway. Slips my mind, and they played an illegal player, not Galway, the opposition. So got a couple points of that. But look, it's Cork City's to lose at this stage. They're away to Waterford on Friday night, and Cove have actually Galway United calling to them. So we're nearly there, dear friends, for this week. Just to mention golf, and those of you that follow professional golf will know that there's a big weekend. The big tournament this weekend is the BMW PGA Championship, and this is the flagship event for the DP World Tour. But it's side-shadowed by the fact that you have these LIV players. The European Tour, this is what the DP World Tour are trying to get these fellas voted out, but there's some sort of court injunction, and there's 18 of them turning up. And there is a bit of grief now between some of these guys. But they're making a fortune. Somebody, was it Graham McDowell, that picked up about 130,000 there coming out of America. But anyway, Rory McIlroy is the poster boy for the PGA in America. He's basically the poster boy for golfers that have stayed loyal. But I think, like some of you that play golf, like these are 54-hole tournaments they LOE, and they're allowed to wear shorts. Hey, to wear shorts, like you wouldn't walk into a golf to wearing shorts. But these LIV fellas can. So it's going to be interesting. There has to be a bit of tension there. Finally, the British Rally Championship, and so we were so disappointed last week when Keith Cronin and Mikey Galvin crashed out, if you like, on the Saturday. Thankfully everything is okay, pride maybe, and they lost out on a few points, and obviously they have to find a panel beater to fix the car. But there's 2 events now left. Probably the penultimate event, I think, is 2 weeks time, is it? And then the October weekend. So there's 2 rounds of the British Rally Championship, and if Keith can win those, he becomes the champion for the 5th time, record-breaking 5th time. But Oisin Price and Noel O'Sullivan, the Killarney co-driver, they benefited last week, and they're now, I think, 7 points ahead. But anyway, there's so much to go on that. So all that remains to me is to obviously thank you for taking an effort of whatever you do to tune this way, and hopefully that whatever team that you follow, that it will get there this weekend. So till the next time, take care.